you have to just sort of trust that God has this and it's going to be okay. Either you perform or you won't perform. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter. So you have those conversations with your kids all the time. This isn't going to work out for you, but that's okay. God's got this. God's got this.
Welcome to the Catholic Homeschool Podcast. I'm your host, Paola Siskanik, and today I am thrilled to welcome Tami Kiser. Hi, Tami. How are you today?
Hi, Paola. How are you?
Good. And Tami is joining us from South Carolina. I'm here up in Delaware, and as we're recording this is just after Easter, and we both have been freezing. So we're going to talk about really that number one challenge that we, homeschooling parents have, and really any parents, I'd have to say, which is that challenge that we've got so much to do. We've got this laundry list of things. How do we set those priorities? And how do we be present for our children? So before we begin, I'm going to read your bio, okay, Tami? And let's get that in there because people need to know your interesting story. So Tami Kiser lives in the mountains of Sunset, South Carolina, at a retreat center. She's a mom to 10 children, with 2 children still at home. She's a grandmother to 10. She is the author of 2 books published by Our Sunday Visitor. She has produced numerous video programs for parents and women, which can be found on Formed, Catholic video platform. Many of you know about Formed. You get it through your parish. She currently holds a part-time job teaching with a very long commute at St. Joseph's Catholic School in Greenville, South Carolina. The rest of her time, is there any, Tami, and energy is spent running Heart Ridge Retreat Center with her husband, Keith. This involves planning retreats, camps, and conferences, as well as helping with cooking, cleaning, and taking out the trash. She has a passion for nature and wildlife and loves all forms of art and music. Her vision for the retreat center is for the people who visit to find beauty there that will draw them closer to God. Well, thank you, Tami, and welcome. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Good.
The bio overwhelms me, but yeah, that's it. That's true.
Isn't it amazing? Yeah. So, I alluded when we first began to this whole idea. Now, again, being a mom to 10, busy, and homeschooling, you've had, that experience as well. And now, even just having a calling to God in this ministry, we moms have this, or parents have this long list. How in the world do we set priorities? I know you wrote a book. Something must have compelled you to write that one, Smart Martha's Catholic Guide to, the busy moms. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I've heard a quote that we teach things that we need to learn ourselves. That's so true for me. So, and it's not necessarily that I'm the pro at it. It's just something that I know I need to learn. Mm-hmm. I've just had that conviction. I love the Mary Martha story. I'm just such a Martha. I'm such a doer. But I've just had that conviction that God wants us to just be that Mary in his presence. And I think that's so important for moms, especially homeschooling moms. We're just, we have our lists and things we have to get done and, it's, housework, but then we have the list of, our kids have to be able to read and they have to do their math facts. We just have so many things that we're constantly doing, And then we're all volunteers in the church too. So we're all working at our parish, we're teaching CCD. And it's just, I think we just fall into that Martha mode, and we need to be more like Mary. That's what Jesus wants from us. He's given us tasks to do in this life. And I think we have added to those tasks. God doesn't really want us to have these super long checklists. We do have things that we have to do. We're busy moms. Like you say, we do have lists that we have to do. But I think it's so much add to that list. And we we second guess God. Like we think that, when he tells us we need rest, or he tells us that we need to spend time with him, or we need to spend time with our children, when you look at Jesus and his ministry, as far as being a top executive, you don't see him scrambling from one person to the next and writing people off and just, here, you got your job done. No, he's sitting with like the woman at the well and just having a conversation with her. He's just sitting with people, talking with people, maybe insignificant people, you would think. He's not planning these business meetings. He's not like, okay, disciples, are going to organize you and you've got this to do. And, no, it's just, he has this really, this ministry of presence. And I think as a, being convicted as a Martha myself, we need to have more of that ministry of presence with our family and try to emphasize that more, being with our kids and just trusting that this is how God wants us to be. And those other things are going to get taken care of.
They are. Okay. So those other things are going to take. So it sounds to me like there's a priority and there is a practical way, would you say, and especially with your experience, to kind of, where do you start? What comes off?
I think the first place is that surrender prayer. Have you heard that? I mean, that's really my go-to, is that, Jesus, the whole Jesus, I trust in you, or Jesus, I give everything to you. Take care of everything for me. And just sort of trust that he is going to take care of everything to you. And then let the day unfold as it unfolds, make your list, start things. And I always say, here's the priority. I always say that is helpful to me, is that people always take precedent over tasks. So no matter what things I have to do, whether that's even something like making dinner, emptying the dishwasher, people always take priority over every single one of those things. So if my child comes up to me and has a question or is concerned about something, I mean, I'm not saying you have to play Candyland, when you have to make dinner, but sometimes you do. Sometimes there's a need. It's the neighbor who knocks on the door and needs something, or the phone call that you don't want right now because you're busy, you have something to do. But if it's a person, if it's somebody with a face, that's who you have to pay attention to. That's always where Jesus shows up. I know Jesus shows up in your dishes and in cooking, and in teaching. I know Jesus can show up in those tasks, but Jesus always shows up in the face of somebody, whether it's your children or your neighbors or a friend or whatever. Right. So there's your top priority right there. And of course, your top priority is Jesus. You're not going to find Jesus if you don't spend time with him every day. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
you're not going to remember.
That's one of the other big
priority, right? You're not going to remember to do the people priority. You're not going to remember to even find him in your dishes if you're not spending time with him every day. And I'm not saying you need to spend an hour every morning praying. I mean, for some people, they may need that. I don't know. We each have our own path, and 5 minutes of really concentrated meditation with God is better than if you're just rattling off prayers and not really praying, so you can't say the time. It's just some good quality prayer. It could be a good quality rosary. Sure, that could be what you need every day, or it could be, like I like to read the Magnificat, or even just for me, I say that surrender prayer, and I say a morning offering, and I really, really mean it, and I ask God to show up every day, and then mass and, those prayers throughout the day. So you keep that constant presence of Jesus, with you, and then you're going to know your priorities at that point.
He does talk to us even in those moments, even in the busy moments.
He does
teaching us, as you said, giving him the opportunity to teach us, which brings me to that next point. So it sounds to me too, you're kind of modeling some behavior for your children. I know you've done this video called Trusting God, when we talk about the world is full of anxiety. So what about modeling for our children?
Oh, for sure. I mean, we can't help it. We model for our children. I mean, you can't help it. You can't help it. And good and bad for sure. But, I think it just is going to happen naturally. I mean, we've got, we remind that, like, I just was on the phone before talking to you and I was worried about, this is my daughter. She's 30 and she lives in Chicago, and she's an actress. And I just hung up the phone from her, but she's in this big play this weekend, which is exciting. But her husband just got COVID. So this is like the biggest disaster in her life right now. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Because they've been dying to perform and now it's just like, what do they do? Without getting the details about COVID and all that kind of thing. But it's just like, you have to just sort of trust that God has this and it's going to be okay. Either you perform or you won't perform. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter. So you have those conversations with your kids all the time. This isn't going to work out for you, but that's okay. God's got this. God's got this. So that's like sort of our motto. And don't worry about things, especially if we don't really know yet. Like, we and our kids, they get so tensed up about things that haven't even happened yet. Yeah. So you really just try to take them through that conversation. It doesn't do you any good to worry about things. And of course, you can talk this to your blue in the face. It's how you model that with your kids too. They'll learn that from you. They'll learn that anxiety and that stress from you. You don't even have to like talk to them about it. Just if you just take care of learning that yourself, telling yourself that and living in that real presence of Christ and that real trust, that real surrender to his will, that'll rub off on your kids.
That reminds me, because you have an amazing story about trusting God. Like your life has taken quite a turn. We mentioned about this retreat centers. So tell us that little story about, how do you even find a retreat center and talk about trusting God? Like that's a great story.
Well, we did have that. We had this call. So if you have a call, you have to trust God. You just do. Then you start to question, well, do I really have this call? That kind of thing, right? Like, is that really what God's calling me to do?
Well, like homeschooling, right?
Yeah. Like I said, we've had this conviction about wanting to rest and getting away from these busy lists, and how people really need to pull away from their regular busy lives and spend that time just being with God, being with other people, being with their families. This is a retreat center, right? That's what a retreat center is. And sometimes we all need that, like, set in our, that reset in our life where we can really like sit back, take a breath. And we need to pull away from our lives and do that. And sometimes it's just something simple with your family, like going on a picnic for the afternoon, or just pulling out of your regular busyness. We're big on vacations where they have that component to them. So anyway, so my husband and I we really feel that we need to help people find this. And so we started looking for a retreat center. And actually it started because we were just feeling this anxious, stressful life, these lists, these things to do with kids, high school kids, college age kids. There's just so much drama. All right. And then we're like at the peak of our careers too. So we're doing a lot with our careers too. And we have little kids. It's just so hectic. You all know that. This is why we're having this conversation. So we ended up buying this little piece of property in a little cabin in the mountains. And we would drive, an hour and a half through these mountains, up and down and around, up and down and around. I mean, just, like kind of you're getting sick even just getting there. But as soon as we'd get over that last mountain, my husband's blood pressure would just drop. There was no cell phone service there, so you couldn't even do the internet. You can't check work. You can't talk to people. And we would go there for weekends as a couple with our kids and their families, because some of them are married. And what a difference that made. And the mountains are beautiful, so we're like, we want to share this with other people. That's, you don't really have to have that to get that experience of being closer to God. But sometimes in this busy world, whatever you can do to get that, you know. So we're like, yeah, if we can help other people just sort of experience this retreat, this getting into nature, breathing fresh air, going on hikes and walks with each other, with your family, just by yourself with God, no internet, you know, no cell phones, that kind of thing. Although we do have cell phone service at a retreat center. It's not very good, but there is cell phone service here because, you know, you can't completely disconnect. It would be nice. But so we started looking for property, and we went all over the place. We spent like a year looking at different properties. The one place where we live has like the highest concentration of like camps in like the world or whatever, because it's just such a beautiful part of the country. So we were looking through all these old camps and different farms and so on. And then we were in contract for this one. And we realized we had to put a lot of money into it in order to have more housing, to make it affordable, because you've got to be able to make money to pay for the property. And then on the computer, this other property came up. And it was just sort of that, oh no, that's the one that God wants us at. And so we went there, and it's this old Baptist, like Reform school. We're in the Bible Belt here in South Carolina. So we were surrounded by lots and lots of good, God-fearing Baptist people. We love them. You know, they're our neighbors. We
yes,
do love
salt of the earth, or Christian brothers
and so,
yep.
you know, it's just funny having a Catholic presence in that. But it's been fun. But the one sign that was sort of that miraculous sign, a couple things too. And of course, St. Joseph is the real estate guy. I mean, he just is. He's also the career guy. So like if your husband is asking about careers, you do these St. Joseph novenas. So St. Joseph came through in both of those things, as far as it being like a job that we can actually sustain, and then finding us the property. Is that when we got to this Baptist camp, and I won't get into it, you have to read it on the website. I mean, it had been abandoned for a very long time, and it was just awful to say.
Yeah, like scary, like a scary place to even walk in.
Very scary. Power had been out, and we're talking about freezers with food that was in them and powers. I mean, it's just been awful. But you know, we went to this one building. You never know what you're going to get into when you're opening these rooms up. And this was in the winter we were looking, and we see this one statue of a man, and it's a statue of Saint Joseph. I mean, isn't that such a miraculous thing? So we opened up the door, and we were not prepared. We're using our little cell phones as flashlights, and we see this silhouette. And of course, it was a little bit scary because you think it was a real man. And they know that's just a statue. And then it's the statue of St. Joseph, which, you know, unheard of in a Baptist place. That's just so bizarre. It ended up that it was part of a nativity scene. You know, they just had this leftover St. Joseph who was part of this bigger nativity scene, but he was sitting there on this chair. So that was our statue of St. Joseph. And then we were scheduled to close on this place on March 19th.
Oh, well, his feast day.
I know. God, and you don't plan those closing dates. You have no power over closing dates, you know, when you purchase property. So we thought that was kind of neat. So
yes, very fitting.
So now we have this retreat center. We've been opening it up. We have our own retreats here, but we also have, other, the parishes. We've had some Baptist groups who've come, and it's just really, it's in the nature. It's in nature. It's in the mountains. So it's just very beautiful.
So homeschoolers tend to, and again, we think about the education. Well, let's talk, Tami, about, the whole person, because, I mentioned in your bio, you love nature, and then your husband's blood pressure went down the minute you were with nature. Right. Yeah. Don't we tend to ignore nature? What does that do for us in terms of, restoring us?
There's tons of studies about this. It's, you can look it up on the internet, and you'll see there are physical things that happen to you when you get in nature. And I like looking at what the saints have said about nature. I mean, there's so many saints, we of course think of Saint Francis, but, Saint Therese loved being in nature. She loved flowers and fields. And I mean, and there's so many saints you can pull up about how nature is the book that shows them about God. So it's science is showing us now, social sciences coming out with all these studies. And so we have this whole, we have these nature schools, right? So we Catholic homeschool, we probably do put our kids in nature a lot. At least I always said when I was raising my kids. But they actually have like public schools now that are outdoor schools where they teach a lot of the classes outside. Mm-hmm. So even as, suggesting this to you homeschoolers out there that, get those kids outside. It's not slacking if you do that. Like you always think, oh, I'm such a slacker. We're not having them sit inside filling out their math sheets or whatever. No, get them outside, get them playing with sticks, get them building their own forts and creating their own little stories and play that they do outside. This is so important for their education. Talking about, we're talking about nature as the education point. I know we're talking to homeschoolers, but also then nature for us as a family and as our own general health. It calms our nerves. Just all kinds of things like that. I don't have my list in front of me. I'm sorry, but and we've all experienced that. Just going outside and going.
Well, you talk about self-care, and that's one of the things I think that even just like it's good for the children, but it's also good for the.
It's so good for us too. Yeah, it's so good for us. Read your book to your kids outside. Just sit outside. There's all kinds of stuff you can do in that way. Yeah.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about, one of the things I know right now you're planning, because as we're recording this, as I said, we're right the week after Easter.
Right.
What about vacations, summer vacations? You mentioned that, this is a little different than going to Disney World,
Sure.
So what's it like at your retreat center? And are you booking summer camps now?
Yes, we are booking summer camps, and 2 of our camps are full, but we still have lots of room in our other ones. So of course, like any of you parents, you're out listening to this now, if you were to plan the perfect summer vacation, all right. And we've just been always very purposeful with our vacation time. And I think homeschoolers are really good about this. We'll go to museums, right? We have always stopped at so many different shrines. Anytime we go on vacation somewhere, we're always stopping at a shrine or something like that. We've been through so many battlefields, it's like crazy. But other things that we love that we think should be incorporated into vacation is, time together, just good time together. We don't like a lot of TV, like, if you go to beach houses or something like that, you don't want the TV on, you want that done. You want time just to relax and hang out together. And ideally, you would love to have a little more deeper conversations about, how they are in their faith life and, how can we pray more together as a family? Conversations about what would make our family closer together. Just some meaningful conversations. We would love that to develop out of vacation. We want vacation to be very fun. And for moms, we want vacation to be relaxing. Like I've told you about these vacations that we've gone on as battlefields and all this stuff. That's been a ton of work for me as a mom, and planning the food when you're taking 10 kids on vacation. A lot of times we're camping. It was just so much work that I would come home from vacation. I would be like, done. So we are planning this vacation for families, that moms can just really, really relax, that the planning's done for mom and the cooking's done. We do all the cooking ourselves at the camp. Yeah. So we have this day where we're in this beautiful camp, only they're not like tents. We're talking, these are rooms with soft beds and bathrooms with running water and air conditioning. So we've got the comforts. We're not camping here at our camp. We call it a camp, but it's not really camping. And then we have activities kind of like a Bible school or vacation Bible school, maybe a little bit, where you're with you do some things with kids your own age, but you do some things with your family. You'll be given like some family activities. Maybe it would be a scavenger hunt across the retreat center. And then we give some free time, but we also lead people on excursions because we are in one of the best places we like the highest concentration of waterfalls in the world where we live here. So there's always the waterfall and swimming hole hike that we'll go to, and we can take families on that. And then of course in the evenings we have like your square dancing, your talent shows, all that kind of thing. So you can see how that would be just a really fun vacation for families. And like I said, it's not just the fun, although that's such an important part of it, to have fun with your kids. Mm-hmm. But there's meaningful. We're trying to incorporate these conversations in. And then the other thing that's great about it is you're with other Catholic families. who want these similar things. And so you learn so much just being with these other Catholic families. So it's a great time of fellowship. And the kids just all get along so well. By the end of the week, we're just like one big family. And we only take about 12 families at a time. So it's not like you're overwhelmed and there's so much going on. You've got this little, but 12 families, especially we've had some large families here. There's plenty of kids, so kids can find their own little play groups. And so it's been so much fun. It's just been great. This is only our second year, but we've really put a lot of time and thought into it, and just so happy with how last year went. We had families say their kids had more fun than when they went to Disney World. We did.
Yes.
It's just fun. Kids love that.
Basics.
Yeah. Yep. Kids just love being with other kids and playing, and yeah.
And you can't underestimate how much your kids really do want to spend time with you, because just
that's true.
You're so busy to not have other things distract you. You really can truly be present if, as you say, you got the cooking and the planning and everything.
That's right. And so it's just being with your family and having fun with your family. And then out of that, of course, that time, that's where you develop some more of those, good conversations.
Yeah. And it goes fast. I mean, one of the things, and I know both of us are grandparents, and it's the old cliche, but you cannot, it goes fast. It goes fast. And you have and so the need is urgent to really be one-on-one.
Take that time. I mean, whether you come to our camp, which would be great, we'd love to have you, but anytime your vacations, that time your kid wants, I always use the Candyland illustration because I hate playing Candyland. I just hate that game. It's just an obnoxious game. I hate it. But so for me, that's my big sacrifice if I have to take time with a child and play Candyland, but just whatever that your Candyland is, you take that time to be with your children and just take that time, get away from that busy list. I know we all have stuff we have to do, but really look for where God is asking you to be in that moment, and just trust that the other stuff's going to get done.
Yeah.
That God wants to get done.
Mm-hmm. The important stuff, the really important stuff always gets done. It does, Tami.
It does.
Resting in that God's trust, the surrender prayer.
That's right.
Bringing that right back to, doing that. And I know I'm one of those busy people who loves to make lists, and I'll put on the list something I've already done just so I can check it off. And slow down. And so this is such a beautiful, beautiful insight, such beautiful sharing, and especially you living it and you trust and you're modeling it for your children. I'm so for you sharing that with us today. Where can people find out about you? And it's Heart Ridge Ministries is your new
heartridgeministries.com. You could search Heart Ridge Retreat Center, and that'll come up on Google. So Heart Ridge, and it's given to the Sacred Heart of Jesus. Oh. So every building has his pictures enthroned here, and all the promises of the Sacred Heart that we're just really hoping that he just envelops this whole retreat center. And he has, we've seen that. We see that. And what's fun too, and I know this is an extra thing.
We're Unum. We, one heart. It's this whole idea that our family is of one heart to the Lord. And I really sense that that's exactly what you're, opening yourself to that, Tami. That's exactly what you did.
It is. And we also have an outreach because we're in the center of, like I said, so many great outdoor rock climbing, mountain biking. There's just so much that's here. We open our doors to people who are not religious, and they come here and they'll stay in our buildings, and they've got that Sacred Heart of Jesus there. And it's just it's just an outreach for us in that way. Just this Catholic hospitality that,
right.
We care about you. We're going to be interested in you. And, that's that old way of telling them that God loves them too.
Yeah. Just like God, again, call the disciples, let's invite others into this beautiful world. And so I love your heart for this. I knew I wanted to. I know there was also, just real quickly, are you still looking for interns? I know you it's an opportunity for homeschool.
Well, I know we have plenty of female interns. So if there were some male interns,
Yes.
it'd be nice to have some guys there as well.
Well, especially
it looks like we have a great team of like senior girls and some college girls. The interns make the summer camp. They just do. We're a happy, joyful team, and the young kids they look up so much to those interns. We need some boys in that. So if anyone has any high school boys, seniors, maybe even juniors or in college who are looking for something to do over the summer, it's a great way to spend the summer. We do pay them. Mm-hmm. They just get so much experience because we load on a lot of responsibility for them, and they always, live up to that. They rise to that occasion, and they end up falling in love with our families. The interns just, it's just great. It's a fun thing for a kid to do over the summer. So yeah, we're looking for male ones now. So.
Okay, definitely. We'll put those links below this video that anybody who's got some sons that are looking for
something productive to do over the summer. I mean, really,
yep.
We do pay, and all room and board. So they get to leave home and go back home with some cash, but really just a really super experience.
It is.
Really good growth.
My kids have always done internships, and it's a way of testing out, your calling. We are always leading them through discernment, and what a lovely way. I really do believe when we instill wonder by being in nature, we do have that opportunity to hear God's call. So.
We do.
Well, thank you so much, Tami. This has been such a pleasure. I thank you again. I thank everybody who's watching. And again, Tami Kiser is Heart Rich Ministries. We'll put the links below, also to her book, The Smart Marthas. And I thank you again. May you have a beautiful, beautiful time this summer with all those families.
Yeah.
I really hope that some of the families listening do go this summer. Yeah. And drop us a line and send us pictures. And so you can also meet me in the community, the CatholicHomeschoolCommunity.com. That's where I hang out. We're off all the social media. It's our private, safe place. So please do join me in the Catholic Homeschool Community. And thank you again for listening to the Catholic Homeschool Podcast. God bless. Bye, Tami.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking it and subscribing to our YouTube channel. You can find us on all your favorite podcast platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and SoundCloud. Thank you, and have a blessed day.